Hey, kia ora. Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Surprise in Arizona. Hope you're all having a super fantastic, sparkling day. My apologies for being so late tonight. Technical difficulties. But we're here. We've made it. And it's an awesome day. It is a super, no matter what happens today, is always super fantastic and sparkling. So tonight, welcome to Before the Dirt podcast number 1581, The Power of Journaling. Oh my gosh. Where do I even begin? It's been a while since I journaled. And then this week, actually yesterday morning, I was awake before the alarm clock went off, like I normally am. And lately, up until yesterday, I'd get up, go to the bathroom, go back to bed and read. And then get up like an hour and a half later. It was just a lazy start to the day. And yesterday, instead of getting back into bed, I sat there on the bed and I thought, I'm getting up. So got up, got showered, got dressed, came out here, and I thought, no, what am I going to do? I'm going to go and journal. And, what am I doing out here? Well, I'm going to journal. So I'm having this whole conversation with myself out loud. Poor Zeffy's little like, what the heck's going on here? So I sat down at my mapping table out there and pulled out my journal and realized I hadn't written in it for a couple of months. And so just started writing. I don't know where the urge came from, where the desire came from or anything else. I'm just thankful that I got started writing again. And I just started writing and writing and writing and writing. And then by the time I had finished all of that, I was like, that feels really good. Now what can I do? And so I then went on to the next thing. And this is all before daylight because we can't go walking till daylight, which is usually around 7 o'clock these days in the morning. And so Zeffy just sort of like wanders. She walks down the hall. She walks into the room out the back here and just keeps walking right past it. Doesn't even look at me. So walks down the hall, around the corner, and then comes into here and gets up on her chair and goes back to sleep. She didn't even acknowledge me, look at me, or anything. And I'm like, well, do you too? And I said, and even when she's walking past me, I go, Zeffy. And she just turns her head the other way. So she didn't. It's like, you're up way too early. It is too early for me to be here. I have to keep an eye on you. I am going into my chair. And that's what she did. So my day turned out to be amazing. And then I did the online course that I'm telling you about, where I'm doing the 1 hour video a day for a 3-day challenge. Oh, I didn't put that up there, did I? Where you can join us if you wish. I don't think I've got that one in there. It's in the description. Yeah, I don't have it on my flashy thing, my banner across the bottom of the screen there. But in the description of the video is the link to come join us on the 3-day challenge. And you can join anytime on the 3-day challenge. It's one video a day. The videos are 1 hour and they are awesome. I have to tell you, they are really, really cool. I haven't watched today's one yet. That's this evening's job. I got carried away this morning journaling again. And I have to tell you, it is great. Journaling helps get rid of the crap that's running around in your head. So you pour it all out on paper. Well, I use pen and paper. Some people like to type it on the computer or laptop or iPad or use the iPad pencil and write it on there that way. I'm not one of those people. I need pen and paper. And what type of journals do I use? Whatever I feel like at the time. So I have a whole bunch of different types of notebooks laying around the place that go from these ones that have got the little elastic on them with the pen holders. And this one actually has numbered pages. So I can actually index, like in the front there, I can put the date, I can put the page number, and then I can put the date that I wrote, so I know when I did different days and stuff. And maybe just put like a little quick summary as to what's in there. So there's those kinds. Then I have ones that are little notebooks like these. They're just little paperback notebooks. They're about 60 pages, I think, in each one. This is currently what I'm using. Well, this isn't the actual one that's out there on the table. And there's time. I don't use the spiral ones though, because the pages tend to fall out of spiral ones after some time. So I don't use the spiral ones, the spiral notebooks. Actually, no, on some I have on some, but basically when it's time, if I need a new journal, I just go and I open up my boxes because I'm always buying notebooks. Composition books, notebooks, whatever. I have written in composition books as well as a journal and made that a journal. I've got some really nice ones that are leather covered ones. Where's that one I got from Seattle? Hang on, one moment, please. Yep, there it is. When I was in Seattle in March of 2018, after being on my first cruise after Brad passed, I was down at the Pike's Place Market. I love that place. Oh my gosh, such fresh produce that tastes really, really yummy. And they had this like big hallway area where they just had people with booths, and there was this lady there that had these handmade leather journals. And I actually got two. One of them I've actually got part of my book, my novel book series. I've got 5 opening chapters written in there, along with all the information about the area where it's been written, with brochures and all that sort of stuff. I've got different ideas written on bits of paper that are shoved in there. And that one is a brown one that has a strap that goes around and you tie it off. This one is the other one that I've got. It's beautiful. It's actually really soft leather. And I like the little button. But this one is just, and it's inside. I don't know if I've actually started this one. Did I do this one back to front like I did the other ones? No, I didn't. In fact, I wrote in it, the very first time I wrote in it was, I can tell you, Tuesday, the 22nd of May, 2018. That was the morning I woke up in Seattle after getting off the cruise the day before. And I'd been up for the, but it's got all this handmade paper. We've got handmade paper inside it, which is really cool. And it's all stitched in. And the woman was sitting there behind the table and actually stitching together the journals. Like, she has somebody who makes the covers for her. And they put the holes in here for her. And then she sits there, and then she's got the people that make the, you can see there's multiple booklets in there. She has people that make up these booklets for her, and then she goes and stitches them into the thing and sells them. So, this type of journal, I have got so many different journals. I opened up one box when I was unpacking and came out, and I'm like, oh, now I've got one with a plaid cover. I've got all sorts of different types of journals. So I love to use pen and paper because it gets out of my head and whatever I'm writing, because sometimes I do what's called subconscious writing, where I just put the pen down and go, I know. I have started some journal entries with, I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to write about today. Now, I could write about this that's happening on the news, but I really don't want to deal with that. Or I could write about that. And I just start doing all of this. I could write about this. I could write about that. And I'm just listing down all these different things I could write about. I thought, well, actually, this topic, and then on some of them I was going, well, this topic here kind of makes sense. It's kind of talking to me right now. So we're going to write about that. And I'll just get into subconscious writing. And I've done that several times, and there's been a lot of revelations that have come out of that. When you're doing this subconscious writing, you're almost in you almost put yourself in a hypnotic state. So you're not consciously writing, it's coming from the subconscious. And there's been a few revelations that have come out of that, that have led to amazing things like starting my genealogy business on the 22nd of April, 2020. That came from a revelation that happened in January of 2019 when I wrote in a journal. And then we actually put it actually went live with it in April of 2020. And so, all sorts of things have come out of there. And sometimes I've gone back and read, sometimes I don't. Usually I don't. Although if I'm trying to work through an issue, this is how I do it. I write out what the issue is and my thoughts about it. Then the next day I go in, again, I write out what the issue is and my thoughts about it on that day. This is how I work through some challenges that I'm working on. And then the third day, I write out what the issue is. I go back to day one. I read what I wrote on day one. Oh, no, sorry. I'm sorry, get myself confused here. On day 3, I write out the issue and my thoughts on it. Then I go back to day 1 and read through what I wrote on day 1. And then I write my thoughts about that on day 3. And then day 4, I do the same thing. I go back to day 2. And so it helps you like work through the whatever the issue is. But at the same time, it gives you time to process in between about how your thoughts start changing on this challenge and issue. And once you get it out of your system, which is usually in the first couple of days, you get whatever blockage, whatever feelings that you're having about the situation, your initial feelings you're having about the situation. You usually get rid of those by day 3. And so then on day one, you're now going back and with an open mind, reading, what did I write on day one when I was feeling this way? Now, how do I feel about that? What do I feel about what I wrote on day one? And now you're starting to process, and all of a sudden you're clearing these blockages, and creativity starts to come through with, well, how about if we try this or we try that? So it gives you time. It is a slow process. Some people go, well, that's too slow. Yes, I agree. But it gives you time to process what you're feeling. It gives you time to process what your thoughts are about your feelings as you go along. And it makes for a very interesting journaling later on when you go back and read it. But typically, I don't go back and read journals. In my phone here, I have, what day did I start that on? When Brad had his 87-day stay in hospital. I think it was like day 3 or 4 that I started doing vocal journals, because I'd be in the car and, it's, put it this way, when I had to go there at midnight, Brad called me up at like 11:45 one night and wanted me to go into the hospital because he was having some issues and he wanted me to come and sort them out for him. So like within 15 minutes, I was at the hospital. During the day, during rush hour, it takes a little longer. And so I'm stuck in traffic there. And so I would just start. So what I did is I got in the habit of, when I left the house, I put the voice recorder on this. When I left the hospital in the evening, I put the voice recorder on this. So I have 2 recordings a day for, I don't know, like 84 days, I think, 84, 85 days. And I have never gone back and listened to any of them. And there's also, I tell you, there's all sorts of stuff. There's like, I'm talking about what other drivers are doing on the road. I'm practicing presentations I'm going to give. I'm talking about what questions I want to ask the doctor that day when they do their rounds. And on the way home, I would talk about what the doctor said that day when he came in, and what happened when the doctor came in, what their thoughts were, what tests they were going to do, what treatments they were going to try, and everything would be into this journal. And it just helped get a lot of stuff out. And so that was my verbal journals, because by the time I got home, even driving to the hospital in the morning, I was exhausted. Those 87 days of Brad in hospital was exhausting. And then, of course, he went on the 24th. He came on the 29th. Sorry, he came home on the 19th, passed on the 24th. Gus passed on the 6th of September. So whatever that number of days is in between when Brad came home, I had to deal with Gus. Gus was going to come to the hospital, but as soon as we found out Brad had changed rooms and we had to go through the process again, that's when Gus started going downhill really rapidly, like within 2 weeks of him being allowed to go visit Brad at hospital, then having it rescinded, to him passing was like 2 weeks. And so I was dealing with all of that. So there was all of that sort of stuff that was in there as well. And then, of course, all the stuff when he passed, there was all the emotions on that. And then, so there was the stress of making sure I was home to get to see with Gus and all that. And then arriving at the hospital late one day because I had to wait for the vet to come over so we could, when the day that we helped Gus across the Rainbow Bridge. So there's all sorts of things and feelings. And I was just utterly exhausted. So I was exhausted for a while after he passed as well, because I wasn't sleeping very well. I was in this habit of not sleeping very well anyway, because if that phone rang, I had to get up and get dressed and go to the hospital. And, Brad would call all hours of the night and ask me to come in not frequently. He only did it 3 times, I think it was. And one night he was pissed off because they wouldn't give him his pain meds. And I said, what time and he said, they didn't give me my ones before. I said, what times did you last get your pain meds? And he's like, they gave them to me at like 2:00 this morning. It's almost midnight. I haven't had my pain med. And I said, Brad, they gave them to you before I left. And that was 3 hours ago. You're not due for another hour or another, I think it was like 30 minutes, because they'd given him the pain meds just before I left, and his next dose was due in like about 30 minutes. And I said, they're going to be giving you your pain meds in about 30 minutes. The last time they gave you pain meds was just before I left to come home. So they're not giving you pain meds now because it's not time. And so he says, well, can you come in and sort them out? They won't listen to me. I says, okay. I said, I'll be there in 20 minutes. And I just gotten into bed. So I had to get out of bed, get dressed, get in the car, go to the hospital. And of course, then walk up to his room and everything else. And that one took me 15 minutes, I think it was. And I walk in the door and the nurse was there and they says, we've just given him his pain meds. I said, thank you. And Brad was like, and then Brad turns around and goes, they just gave me my pain meds. I said, yeah. I said, see, they weren't holding them off from you. They were giving them to you at the time that they were supposed to give them to you. Oh, okay. And I said, you just really wanted to see me again, didn't you? And he's like, yeah. I said, you didn't have to make up an excuse. You could have just said, can you please come here? I miss you. And I would have come. So, but those are some of the things I had to deal with. And so I was too tired to write. So I would voice record every time I went to the hospital. Every time I came home from the hospital, I would voice record everything. And some of the recordings have long gaps on them because I would do the initial thing and then I would just sit quietly in the car. And I'd get home and go. And sometimes I got home and totally forgot to turn the recording off. So, like I'll pick up my phone and I would swipe up to unlock it and go, oh, I'm still recording. Hit the off button, and it's been recording for the last 2 hours. But yeah, so journaling, however you want to do it. For me, pen and paper works the best. Extenuating circumstances, I will use a voice recorder, but pen and paper for me works the best. It helps get crap out of my head. It helps me think clearly. It helps me get creative. It allows me to tap into my subconscious at times. So I can figure out what's going on in there. Because I know after listening to yesterday's one about the brain and about how the conscious thinks it's in control, but it's actually the subconscious that's in control of you and everything and what happens and all of that sort of stuff. And the subconscious never switches off. The conscious mind you can switch off when you sleep, but the subconscious, no way. It works 24/7. It's always going. Even with helping with dreams, because the dreams will help, finalize some of the unfinished business you had that day that you didn't complete. It will, if you've been working on a problem, it may reveal the solution to the problem. I've had that happen as well, where I've had a problem I've been mulling over in my brain and I've been journaling about it. And then I wake up, and you do those things like waking up at like some unearthly hour of the morning, like 2:00, and go, I've got the solution. And either it's sit and write it down there and then, or I get up and out of bed and come into the office here and write it down and quickly get on the computer and do what needs to be done. But I make sure, and I always keep pen and paper by the bed. I always keep pen and paper by my chair where I sit in the evenings. I've got pen and paper all over the place. Just because you never know when inspiration is going to hit you. Except in the shower. I don't have pen and paper in the shower. That one's not a good place. Pen and paper, water and paper just don't mix very well together in the shower. So in those cases, I tell Zeffy about it. I just call out and go, Zeffy, and I go, I've had this idea. This is my idea. And I find that if I do that, and then as soon as I get out of the shower and get dried off, I straight over to and pull out the pen and paper and write it all down. But it's a great way of clearing things out, seeing things clearer with a clearer mind, especially if you're upset about something, where you just you literally just pour it out on paper. You don't even stop to think what you're writing. You just write. And then when you've finished writing, you feel so much better. And there are times when I have like pulled out a piece of just straight line paper, written everything down on there just to get the frustration out and everything else. And then I'll put it through the shredder. I used to, like, when we were in Virginia, we had like a metal bin I'd take out the back there and light it and burn it. And actually, I'll put it in the fire. We had a fireplace, put it in the fireplace and burn it. But we haven't had fireplaces since we left Virginia. So now I just throw it in the shredder. Write it out on paper, throw it in the shredder. It's gone. It's done. We're over it. Let's move on. So it's very good for clearing blockages, for getting thoughts out on paper, for coming up with ideas, or finding the questions that you need to ask yourself about ideas. Maybe you've asked yourself some questions about ideas, and some of those questions I will actually put on my mind mapping paper and just start mind mapping the stuff. That's another way that you can journal, is mind map. So there's all sorts of different ways that you can journal. And sometimes it's about, what's happened in your day. What have you been doing? What did you eat for lunch? What did you eat for breakfast? All of that. Who did you get to speak to today? What stuff did you get accomplished? So yes, there's some of those. And other days it's just sort of like, I got to get all these thoughts out of my head. It's just too much in there. You kind of feel like Dumbledore from Harry Potter, where he put the wand against his head and you'd see the silver stream of thoughts coming out, or memories coming out, and you put them in the pensive bowl. I kind of feel like that's what my pen is. My pen is my wand. The ink is the silver thread from my brain into the pensive bowl, which is my journal. That's how I visualize it. It actually works pretty well. A lot of times when I have things that I'm dealing with and I don't want to deal with them or something, I will visualize a toilet. I'll visualize myself writing it, screwing it up, and throw it in the toilet and flush. Boom, it's gone. I'm over it. Now I will write it out on, if I've got a piece of paper handy, like if I'm driving, I don't do that. But if I'm not driving, or doing some other activity where I can't write at the time, then I will, when I can write, I will sit down, write it out on the piece of paper. And sometimes I just sort of like, I don't want to put this in a journal. I just need to get it out. And so I pick up a sheet of paper, I just write and write and write and write. And then it goes, and I don't read it, it goes in the shredder. Over half of my journal entries, I have never gone back and read them. And the vocal recordings I did when Brad was in hospital, I have not gone back and listened to a single one of those. They are just exactly as they were recorded. I've done nothing with them. They're sitting on my phone. I guess I should probably do something with them. Actually, I think I might have them on Dropbox. Might have uploaded them to Dropbox. I don't know. I don't remember. I think I might have. But, journaling is great. It helps you sort stuff. Helps you see. It can also help you see that you've been going this way and you're coming up against these brick walls. And you say, I've totally forgotten about this area over here. Let me try directing the energies this way. Like when I'm doing genealogy and I come across a brick wall, one of the things that we do is that we do a research log, which logs everywhere we have been. And sometimes I will use a checklist of different records to try, like birth, death, marriage, divorce records, census reports, voter registers, school registers, court documents, probates, wills, testaments. I love you guys. I keep forgetting about these things that are on. What was the one I discovered last night? Oh, yeah, this one. This was an earth. What was the other one? Yeah, confetti. If you do just one, if you just do this, you get balloons. And if you do this, you get confetti falling down. The shredded balloons. Anyway, I've now totally lost my train of thought. It's gone. Whatever I was talking about, it's gone. With the genealogy. So I have a checklist of all the different types of records that can be checked. And sometimes I forget to pull out that checklist and start checking things off. And I get to that roadblock and I'm like, So then I can go back through my research log. I can pull up my my checklist and I can go down the checklist. Have I checked these places for these different records and things? And I can go, oh, no, I didn't. So now I have another path to go, another place to go and look. And other times I've gone down that whole checklist, which is a very detailed checklist. There are a lot of different types of records out there that you can research. So I go there, yep, done all of that. Okay, well, maybe this didn't happen in the US. Maybe we're going to go to a foreign country. Great. Now I've got to learn how to find those And the cool part is if you go to familysearch.org, they have a research wiki and you type in the country that you're researching. And especially if English is not their first language, down at the very bottom there, they will have, they may have a place there where you can click on a link and it takes you to this page and it will have all the genealogical terms listed and then what they are in the language that you're looking at. Like if you're looking up Italian or German or Spanish, I've done a lot with Mexican records. So you very quickly, when you're in that mode, you very quickly learn, oh, these are the words I need to look for. And you just, can I find them? Or if I'm typing it into Google Translate, which I've done before, I've done this before. This is awesome. It was really cool. I'll have the document open on my laptop and I'll be sitting here on the computer or vice versa. And whichever way I'm doing it, if the document's up on my computer here, I'll have my laptop here and I'm typing I'm typing everything into Google Translation. And sometimes I come across, we go, oh, I know that word. Look at my list. Oh yeah, that's that word. Been looking for that word. So yeah, but you got to decipher the handwriting first. So you get the right letters in there. And sometimes I'm typing the letters in as I'm seeing them. And then it's the thing, Google Translate saying this ain't word. And I'm like, okay, and go back and I can blow it up, have a look at it a little closer. And there's times where I'll sit there with my pen and not with the nib out, and I'll actually like trace the letters to try and get an idea of what the word is. So anyway, journaling is I love journaling. And sometimes I will use stickers in there. Sometimes I'll put little doodles in there, do little pictures and everything else. So there's all sorts of things that you can do in your journal. It's completely up to you. It is yours. Some people, like I said, get the iPad. There's different journaling programs where they just use the iPencil in there. So it's really up to you. It's a personalized thing. There is no right or wrong way to journal. How you journal, that's the right way. It's as simple as that. Some people will go look for ideas from other people. Some people do art journaling, which is the coolest thing out there. I have seen some beautiful art journals where they take a notebook or whatever, a notebook or even something this size, and they may draw pictures on there. They may paint the page, and then they go back and they're adding different types of stickers, different pieces of leaves and stuff found in nature that they're putting onto the page, and they make these beautiful art pieces in their journals from something that they had seen that day or something that they had experienced, and they may write a little bit on it. And if you just type in art journaling into YouTube, there is a whole bunch of videos in there on how-tos, but even and they will show you some of the stuff that they have done, and some of them is incredible work. Sometimes I've done maybe 3 or 4 entries in a journal that way, but most of the time it's just handwriting. And sometimes I'll stop and might just the pen just doodles. The pen's got a mind of its own when I'm sitting there not really thinking. So sometimes the pen's got a mind of its own, sometimes it hasn't. I always keep, I have a thing of colored pencils, things of different colored pens, different gel pens that I can use for if I want to. Sometimes I'm just writing. I'm going, I really don't feel like using purple today. What have I got over here? Oh, there's that variegated. There's ones that actually have a variegated ink in it. So as you're writing and it's a almost like a glitter gel, but it's a variegated ink. And as you write, the ink changes color because it's getting to different. It's got when you look at the refill piece, you can see in there the different colors. And so as you use the ink, the different colors come into play and make some really cool things in there. I once had a journal with black pages in it and used gel pens for the ink on it. They looked fabulous. Oh my gosh, I was in that thing. I was writing in it. I was doodling in it. Just anything because the colored gel pens on the black paper really popped and looked amazing. So yes, that was a really cool one time. But journaling is completely personal. There is no, like I said, no right or wrong way to do it. It's whatever you want to do. If you just want to there's even the 5-year journals that you can get where you just write it's got 3 lines per year. Like you'll go to the 28th of November, and there'll be 3 different things where you put in the year for each one, and you just write 3 lines every year for 5 years. And now you've got 5 years worth of journals in one journal. So I've seen those, and I look at those little 3 lines in there, and I'm like, yeah, that ain't enough. I'm a storyteller. I have to tell the stories. So anyway, that's it for us for journaling. Let us know in the comments. Do you journal? What type of journaling do you do? Do you have a favorite type of journal? Like when you're doing your journaling, do you get a specific type of notebook that you have to use, or is there a specific type of journal, or are you like me and it's very eclectic? I tell you, I got some great journals. So anyway, that's it from us for today. Go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific time. No, hang on. No, it won't be because I've got a mastermind on. And I have to walk the dog immediately afterwards. Yes, that's going to be a challenge. I finish work at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. Oh, no, hang on. Yeah. Yeah, finish work. We can still do our walk. I finish work at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. My mastermind call starts at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. So I have an hour in which to walk Zephy and do my Zoom. So I'll be on sometime between at 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow night. Yes, between 5 p.m. 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. Pacific tomorrow night is when I will be on the live. I don't know the exact date because the first thing I'll be doing as soon as I finish work is heading out and walking Zephy and then bringing her back in here because she'll be done for the evening. If I do it after the mastermind call, it'll be pitch black outside, and I really don't like walking outside, even if it's a safe neighborhood and it's not very well lit at night. And yeah, there's creatures that come out at night that I don't want my dog being around, like coyotes. So we'll be going for a walk at 4 p.m. Pacific. So I will be on sometime from when we get back from our walk between there and 5 p.m. Pacific. So yes. So we will see you tomorrow evening. Have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we'll see you tomorrow. Oh, and there's my mom texting me like she does every day. She's awesome. Catch you then. Hei konera.